I'm Tim Watson. This is Copenhagen Fields, a layout built by members of the Model Railway Club in London. The layout has been building over the last third of a century. We started building it in 1984 and it's still a work in progress. So the layout is set in the between the wars period, and most of the stock is scratch-built or heavily modified commercial models. All of the track is hand-built to 2mm scale standards, so the wheels and the track are all very fine. And of course the trains have to be scale-length trains so that they look right for the Great Northern Main Line. The actual model itself is built to 2mm to the foot scale at the front, but the scale diminishes rapidly towards the back to 1 to 450 scale, for instance. So we have a lot of perspective, a lot of scenic modelling in different scales to make it look bigger than it really is. So King's Cross is just at the one end of the layout, and Peterborough and the rest of the world is to the other end. The layout is a challenge in every direction. Making the track work has been challenging, but we have people who make very good track work with us, and making the locos reliable. A loco will do a real mile and a half of running over the course of a weekend show. So that means that the locos have to be incredibly reliable, and that is a big challenge. The scale is what I've been modelling in for the last 40 years. So it's actually a given that that would be what we wanted to do, and you would be pushed to make this model in this sort of form in a larger scale. We certainly underplay the detail at the back of the model so that it doesn't intrude, and also the colours are very carefully muted towards the back as well, so that the layout has that distance effect of a fairly smoky London, albeit on a clear day. The scratch building of the layout is basically, a lot of the buildings of course are made to suit the prototypes. So if we look at the layout, you'll find that the buildings where we actually have information, we copy as they are. If we don't have the information, then we'll use aerial photographs, ordnance survey sheets, and get as much information as we can from historical data. Most of the locos are scratch built. Some are built very much from scratch with the wheels and the whole thing being made from pieces. Nowadays there are a lot of very good commercial models, and some of those are now being converted to run Finescale, but they nearly always require a new chassis to work on the layout. The commercial models have improved dramatically in the last few years, and they're near enough correct for scale, so we run them. The early locos that run on the layout are all hand-built, and the early stock is all hand-built because commercially that's never going to be an attractive proposition. The layout has a unique fiddle yard system in that the rail is brass strip, and that is something that we developed the machine to make the brass bend so that it goes down flat onto the layout, and the actual trains run on this brass strip which is set to gauge. It means that it's very, very robust, and if something comes adrift it actually stays on the brass rail until you come around to be able to put it on. And it means that the components of the baseboards can be stowed very easily, and they don't get damaged in transit. And it's quite a quick way of laying track, but it's not cheap, because brass is expensive, especially nowadays. The layout is built by members of the Model Railway Club. It does get put up in the Model Railway Club from time to time, and if you want to see it, look at the club website, and that will show you when the layout is up. And often you'll see it better in the club than you will at an exhibition. Albeit we're working on it at the time. So if you look up the Model Railway Club, we are the oldest model railway club in the world. Just look up the Model Railway Club and you'll get the Google details on it, no problem.